Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. We have a very special guest today on our Sales Leaders podcast. As you all know, this is a podcast where we speak to real business owners that have been through the trenches, that have sales teams, that have excelled. They have succeeded in spite of all the things that were thrown at them. And today we have Mr. Dan Radu, and he is the founder of Macro B2B marketing agency, and he's been doing it for over 12 years. So Dan works with global marketing tech companies, and Dan also has a global team that accelerates and scales marketing programs. So thank you, Dan, for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here, Justine. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you.
Absolutely. So you are, as we just spoke before we pressed play, you are currently sitting in Romania right now.
I am, yes. I spend a lot of my time between Canada and Romania. So we have teams in both places and we're able to service global marketing teams like that. And there's a variety of skill sets, a variety of languages that work as an extension of global marketing teams. And that's been working quite well for us.
Awesome. And you are, where's your office located in Canada?
It's in downtown Toronto.
Cool. Nice. Alrighty, well, I'm excited to get into these questions. We have some really awesome questions. We're going to get some great information out of Dan. He's been open enough to agree to help us here to connect with some of our viewers. Some of you may even yourself run marketing agencies. So I'll just kind of kick it away with the first question. As we know, this is a sales-driven podcast. We're getting into the nitty-gritty of the sales challenges and what you had to do to overcome and be successful. So, but it wasn't all success, right? So why don't you, Dan, take us back to the beginning? Like, what is the story, the real story of how you got started? And what was your first real sale?
First real sale. Wow. I always had the entrepreneurship bug, and you cannot be an entrepreneur without selling your services, selling yourself, and most importantly, selling a vision. Back in university, we used to have this calculators for finance class, and there was a big, messy capital gains tax formula you had to memorize. So I learned to configure these calculators to just like punch in the data and spit out the answer. When somebody paid me like $20 to have it in their computer, in their calculator, it just came to me. And that was my first sale that I was proud of. I actually built something and sold it.
Wow.
And having the formula program not only gives you the right answer, but also saves you extra minutes on that question. So you don't risk running out of time and not finishing the exam. So I learned to use that as an extra selling.
That's amazing. So wait, you programmed this into calculators, or it was some type of app on a computer?
There were no apps back then. It was
Right.
just this big calculators with black and white screens and different buttons. You're supposed to do tables and stuff. But you could also do like a program where you say, give me the first number, give me the second, give me the third number, and then you run it through like,
Amazing.
that's all the answers. So yeah, so because it was like a very big, messy formula that like we're always asked, give you the numbers, you just had to do them. You just waste a lot of time. You risk getting
Wicked.
it wrong. Saving that time and efficiency is very important.
That's pretty cool. How randomly stumbled into that. So you realize it's a value, someone would buy it. There's got to be other people that want it too, right?
Well, there are not really a lot of people with success at replicating that, but it was one sale. I realized that I'm selling more than just the software. There's more the program. You're selling the time and efficiency
Totally.
and the circumstances that people are in, and it just makes sense to do that $20.
That's awesome. Okay, so while looking at your business today, $20 sale is pretty good in university. But if you're looking at your business today, what does growth mean to you? Like, is it about revenue? Is it about market share? Is it about team size or something else? What does growth mean to you?
Growth is revenue, of course, but also has to be balanced. It has to be balanced with the growth of employees, of organization structure, and your overall sophistication. When you are a 3 people team is different than a 20 people company. And your job as a business owner is not only to sell your services, but to get everyone to buy into your vision, plans, goals, and objectives. Like my company is going despite the state of the world. Many different marketing professionals are struggling to get jobs now. There are no more crazy investments into software as a service, and growth at all cost is over. But we managed to bring the company to a very good point, and that's all thanks to sales planning. Actually, if
Okay.
COVID actually and the downturn wouldn't have occurred, we will probably be even better. But you live and you learn, and that's how you grow. So I'm very happy where we are and how things are going.
Okay. So you're saying that, your business has been positioned well, but sales the ability for individuals in the team to be proactive, looking for opportunities or expanding. I know this wasn't part of our initial set of questions, but what do you mean by that, by sales, other than the obvious? What do you mean by sales is important?
Well, sales is sort of like oxygen for your business. So it's important for everybody to have a mindset that we are a business and we're growing, and to identify the opportunities, the clients, to know how to see, how to spot opportunities, something that the company could do, other team members could do, that they themselves, something interesting that they could work on for clients. The yeah, and that I think that's crucial.
Totally. So what would you say that your vision for sales is for the next, if you look at the next 3 to 5 years, looking at each year within those 3 to 5 years, what is your vision for each of those years?
Well, my vision my vision is to build a better B2B marketing world and be a trusted marketing agency partner of record for global marketing teams at tech companies. And yeah, there's a certain number that we have, like a 15%, 20% growth like that. We do have to hedge for certain other things that we are not aware of yet. They happen like so often these days. And that's what I'm committed to. And growth has to be a portfolio of tactics. Has to be growth in net new clients, of course. It has to be growth from existing clients. It has to be you have to take churn into account, and you also have to have a strategy for engaging people you worked with in the past.
Hmm. Very well.
I actually track my in my customer relationship manager. I actually use this the care methodology to keep, attain, recapture, and expand.
That's a Sandler training method, acronym, CARE. Cool. Alrighty. So, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, in terms of expanding new business, going out, staff being effective and efficient at proactively identifying new opportunities, at effectively and efficiently initiating buyer focused conversations with new opportunities, um, effectively and efficiently, of course. What is your, on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed would you say you are to that vision to help your staff be effective in their sales and business development roles?
Commitment has to be 110%. Otherwise, it's not commitment. It's just involvement. You know that fable about commitment versus involvement, or the pig and the chicken.
Tell us.
So, a pig and a chicken wanted to go into business together and decided to open a bed and breakfast. In their planning meeting, they were deciding on the menu, and the chicken says, "We should offer eggs and bacon." And the pig thinks for a moment and says, "No, thanks. I'll be committed, but you're only just involved."
Yeah, that's funny. That's a good analogy. Cool. So, you know, I'm sure you've probably done everything to generate leads. You've probably tried everything. So what would you say is working best for generating new leads right now? High quality, ideal leads right now. And how is that, how is that, whatever method you're following now different than when you first started?
What worked well at first, when somebody first took a chance on me, it's much different now. At this stage, what works best is referrals of one client to another one, so we can replicate success. being recommended by partners as the right team to solve for X. A name we build for ourselves and a personal brand, I think, is super important. At this stage, sales process has to be structured, more predictable, and most importantly, has to be delegated down the organization. Like my role evolved into enabling my team as opposed to making the sale myself. I do look back at my Sandler training for playing an important part in that stage for me. It gave me the system, the language that I need to master, something which wasn't very polished for me.
Got it. So, that said, what would you say that your biggest challenge is now in terms of generating new leads?
The challenge, the challenge is that it's a lot of changes in the market. So existing clients can be very demanding. So actually making the time to be able to try new things, and there's a lot of noise out there, um, and AI is not helping sort through that noise as well. So just getting people's attention now, it's much more of a struggle. And also a lot of people get distracted by a lot of channels where we are not on. So, if everybody's on LinkedIn and a lot of people look on TikTok, I don't know if you want to be on TikTok, but
Mhm. So it's like constantly balancing where is the best place to go for my audience, because at one social network may be effective for you, but another social network may not be very effective for the types of selling that you're doing, though it could be effective for a different type of selling that someone else is doing. So
yeah, not sure.
have you noticed that at all?
Yeah, 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 of course. And we don't have time for everything that comes up. We can't have we don't have a strategy, or it's hard to formulate a strategy or make sense out of like AI generated images or videos or all this stuff that comes up. Like, how is that something worth spending time on or not?
Right, because at the end of the day, views and clicks are nice, or views are nice, but if it's not converting to a next step commitment from a prospect, you could probably end up wasting a ton of time, money, and resources,
Yeah,
kind of
that makes
falling into
sense.
the
Yeah.
traps of what's shiny and flashy and new and looks beautiful online, but is it really converting to
Yeah.
close business?
Yeah, so the advantage is in you using your time efficiently and effectively to focus on what works and what doesn't, as opposed to just trying the next AI widget or AI thing that somehow supposed to help me or
Right,
get somebody else's attention. Yeah.
totally. All right, so in terms of sales personnel, like you're managing teams, you're delegating tasks. Overseeing teams is not just training them. You're training them, you're supervising them, you're mentoring them, you're coaching them, right? There's a whole ton of involvement in managing teams. So, and as obviously every business has a messy middle, that kind of the 80-20. 20% of people are performing at a high level, 80% are either hitting status quo, and then maybe about 20% or so are not doing so well of that 80%. So, can you share a time when a deal, a hire, or a strategy didn't go as planned and what you learned from it?
Well, many times plans become obsolete the moment they are completed. But then it's much easier to adjust the plan you have than create one from scratch. So you have to have a plan. But many hires don't work out. It happen to every business owner. People spend weeks planning a $2,000 family vacation, but don't put much thought into a $90,000 employee. In different circumstances, you can build a muscle for good planning. However, most of the time, you just have to build a plane while taking off. That's just what entrepreneurship is.
Hmm. So, and that's not uncommon, right? Like when you're, let's just use the hiring thing that you mentioned. Like, people will look like when you're going to hire a salesperson, because salespeople generally, they're the hardest role to hire. Why? Because they look excellent on their resume, potentially. They could perform beautifully in an interview. But when it comes time, let's say they're hired, when the rubber meets the asphalt and they're in the field and they're actually required to do the sales behavior, the be proactive, be in a hunting role, ask for referrals, ask for commitment, get enough information from the prospect or client before you start spending all this time, money, and resource putting together quotes, demos, and proposals. You know, they can look great in paper, great in an interview, but the moment that you hire them, if they're not vetted properly through a lot, a more strenuous process, like you mentioned, you could waste an exuberant amount of time, money, and resources on a bad hire. Some may say up to 3 times their salary on a bad hire. And how does that break down? Well, let's say you hire someone for a year, there goes their salary for a year. Let's say they didn't perform, there's the missing out on hiring that you could hiring someone that could have performed well. Then you got to rehire someone else and retrain them. So that's why they say a bad hire can cost 3 times their salary. So how do you, and this is kind of expanding on that question, what types of tools data-driven tools are you using to confirm if these people are motivated to grow, if they have any types of anxiety that would prevent them from doing sales behavior, even though they know what to do and how to do it potentially, but they're anxious, so they don't do it. And the skills gaps that they may have in terms of the types of selling that they're doing. How are you able to assess this information before you actually start spending money on salary? No doubt you probably have some type of process.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, first, you have to decide whether your sales leader will be somebody from the outside the organization or somebody from within the organization that will grow into that role. Then you have to identify them as hunters or farmers. And then you have to make sure that you put them in the right seats. Are they focused on existing business or are they focused on that new business? And then you have to use your systems and tools and you have to track the activity. You have to enable them with the list, the data, the sales materials. And then you have to put them into your system that you operate. And then you have to measure them, and then you have to understand their strengths and weaknesses. You say, is this person a better presenter? Is this person focused on the right things? And obviously you have certain commission structures. Obviously you have certain 30 days, 60 days, 9 days goals that you work through them. And all of this combined with the activity, and obviously they have to have the motivation, and you have to understand what motivates them, right? You have to understand, is this person motivated only by their commission? Is this motivated by the people? Is this motivated by something else? And you have to take all this into account.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Know what role they can play in your organization.
That's right. Okay. So as you look ahead 12 to 24 months, what's the biggest growth opportunity that you see? And what's the biggest risk that you see? And I'm sure many people will be able to relate to this, whatever you're about to say. What's the biggest
Well,
growth opportunity? What's the biggest risk on your radar?
I think it's AI as a double-edged sword, because I see AI creating more confusion than helping at the moment. I think AI tools will take a while to be properly adopted and used efficiently until then there'll be a big mess, especially since managers will be under pressure to use unproven AI startups, whether or not it works or not. I see it a lot with big corporations and clients that, okay, you have to use AI to be more efficient, to do this. But there's a whole confusion about how exactly it's supposed to do that.
Mhm.
And the big opportunity will still be with good people doing good work. I think a lot of people will look at outsourcing to reduce costs. For a manager in a corporation, it might be indifferent if they delegate to a robot or a person, as long as it gets done good and fast.
Hmm. Totally. Yeah. So yeah, like how can you how do you ensure that the systems and processes that you're teaching to say salespeople, how are you able to confirm that they're actually applying what they're learning in the field and doing all the steps that are involved and required? How do you confirm that that's actually happening? Because a lot of people in a sales leadership role, they're depending on the salesperson's happy ears, right? Or their anecdotal perception of what happened in that conversation with a prospect or a client. But if you were to, say, have recorded that meeting or review that meeting through different AI coaching and or AI tools, you know, the data would say some things that are much different than perhaps the perception of the salesperson. Like the salesperson thought it went great, but if you look at the data is saying, well, no, because you didn't get this information, you didn't get any commitment, you didn't ask these questions, you were excited, but in reality, based on process, that's not actually what happened. So how are you able to confirm coachable moments for individuals in their sales roles?
You need a lot of data to be able to make that decision, right? Like, if you don't get all the data, you don't have the right decisions, and that goes for sales and sales tracking and sales activity as well. And I think it's important. It's important for the salesperson to understand more than just what they feel and think in that moment, in that interaction with the client, to look at the overall picture and understand the overall business, because the business make decisions with the overall data that it has. When the salesperson acts a certain way in that moment when they're in that meeting.
Mm-hmm. Totally. So, how do you approach sales effectiveness training and development, both for yourself and for your team?
As I was mentioning before, being able to delegate the sales responsibility and teaching crucial sales skills to my management is absolutely crucial at this stage. We have some good mentors, and we share good learnings among us. And we are continuously optimizing our systems for marketing, sales, and contracts, and the handover to delivery of services. You have to think of it as a wheel. That's why that's how I speak about it. The marketing and sales and contracts and delivery, everything is right. You go from your net new pipeline to existing customers to upsell, customer success. That's what the oxygen runs to your organization.
Right. Well, yeah, and so back on that topic, it's totally like it all starts with management, right? So because and oftentimes I don't know if you can relate to this, but oftentimes people who are in a sales management role, they'll be there because they were promoted from, maybe they were a rock star. They themselves were a rock star in sales. So because they were so effective in their hunter roles or whatever type of sales, B2B sales role they were in, they leaders will promote them to management. But oftentimes when they are now situated in their management role, and I'm not saying this is you, Dan, but it's not uncommon for them to completely bomb. So they were superstars in their sales role, but then they come to their sales management and they just fall flat. And that's because there's generally not a lot of sales management training. There's tons of sales training out there, but not a ton of sales management training. And being effective in your sales role is much different than
Yeah.
managing teams, right? Because managing teams, it's not just training them, telling them what to do and how to do it. It's training, it's coaching, it's mentoring, it's supervising. So how do you ensure that your management team is up to speed, so not only can they teach these processes, but also hold the staff accountable for sales behavior and continually reinforce this sales behavior? Because that's tough. That takes a lot of work and a lot of constant overseeing.
It does. And that's true in many professions. You can be a good technician, but you won't necessarily be a good manager of technicians as well, or a business owner, right? In the, or And also, I realized that I run a part of our practice is also technology consulting, digital marketing platform, technology consulting. But then I realized that I myself might not need to be the most technical person as well, because you just have to have people who enjoy doing that. That's crucial for the business. And as a manager, you have to focus on the fundamentals of tracking, on reporting, on constant training and motivating your team.
Hmm.
That's what management is.
Hmm. Right. So, and in regards to tracking, you're talking about things like KPIs, right? Key performance indicators. Yeah. So, like, you're going into systems, CRM systems, and salespeople are entering what had happened in the call, such as they sent out a quote, or they, sent out a few emails, or they posted revenue, or a deal was closed. So these are KPIs, key performance indicators. But the thing about the KPIs is that they're telling you about something that happened in the past. They're lagging indicators, really. So leading indicators, though, and I'm sure you already know this, are the ability to accurately forecast what will happen in the future. And leading indicators are things like the specific questions that were asked and the information that they obtained, or actual sales behaviors such as how many calls did the staff make? How many out of those amount of calls, how many conversations did they have? Out of those conversations, how many next steps discovery calls were booked? Out of those discovery calls, how many of they were closed? So if we can start to get a pattern of behavior, then we can forecast what's going to happen in the future. For instance, it's going to take you, Mr. Salesperson, 100 dials to close one piece of business. But if we're not tracking the behavior and we're only tracking the anecdotal perception of what had already happened, how do you accurately forecast revenue? And that's a problem lots of people have. Very, very successful companies have, and leaders. They don't know, they don't have any tools or processes to accurately forecast revenue. They can really only just depend on what has already happened. Does that resonate with you at all?
Yes, yes. Well, you have to be able to have the data to, and you have to be able to create different use cases. You have to be able to know how you adjust your questioning system, your prospecting system. You have to have your battle cards ready. I myself, I'm trying to get deeper into the mindset of the customer as well. So I can, when I speak to them, I can actually relate to them better, because then I will be able to think ahead for them.
Hmm. Okay, very well. So, I mean, I'm sure we could go on and on about this topic, but when you hire salespeople, what are the, and I'm sure many people can relate, but what are some of the greatest challenges that you've experienced when hiring salespeople?
Like, well, some people could be great talkers, but might not be great doers, right? So they might
Right.
be very good presenters, or some people might be good at making great promises that then you cannot really fulfill as an organization. I've seen those. You have to make sure that your salesperson also doesn't run off with your project. I've been screwed over by some of my trusted managers. I spent a lot of energy into grooming this person, which then turned out creating big conflicts of interest by taking jobs with the client or kicking us out. So you have to cover our bases. You can't assume people have good intentions all the time, and you have to be able to match different prospects. You have to have your customer personas, you have to have your intention, your signals, and you have to be able to match that with who's the best fit in your team.
Hmm. Definitely. So, I mean, what is the most important thing that you look for in a sales team or sales individual? Like, what are the characteristics and how do you set them up for success?
Well, salespeople should be able to sell themselves, you think. Not always the case. You still have to have a way to identify them. Some are good farmers, but you don't know it. When you look in your company, you don't even realize what good farmers you might have. Then others are hunters, and you just have to let them loose, but still point them in the right direction.
Hmm. What does a good hunter look like to you, Dan?
Ambitious, eager, not being afraid to make cold calls, not being afraid to reach out,
A lot of
having
people, sorry, go ahead.
having an eye to understand different needs, discover needs right away. Maybe
Very well.
talk less than the prospect.
Definitely. So, and you've been running your business for 12 years. Some people would say cold calling doesn't work. What would you say about that?
Well, it depends on the industry. It depends how much time, resources, and how much you're willing to invest into that tactic. So you have to
Has it
find
worked?
the right one.
Does it work for you?
We worked when something like that was outsourced. It had some efficiency to some of it, but it's not something we actively do. So again, you have to find what works for you.
Hmm. Got it. All right. So, thinking about your own leadership, what would you say has been the hardest adjustment that you've had to make as the company has grown?
Well, you'll grow yourself with your company. Your company growth is your growth as well. And it's not easy to keep up true to some founding principles. And also, it's not that easy always to follow through to one of your promises, but it's one of the things that you have to strive to do.
Yep.
And it's also you have to realize when some clients are more of a drag, and when there's bigger opportunities out there when you can pivot your organization on different opportunities.
Totally. And if you could give one piece of advice to an Ontario business owner who's just hit a growth ceiling, what would it be?
You never know what creates the ceiling, actually. Going to the next level can be overcoming something you might not even realize limits you. It could be sales, of course, that limits you. It could be investing in overhead, taking your brand to the next level, or expanding into new markets. You should constantly take a step back, reflect, and challenge your assumptions. I'm going to use my favorite bicycle analogy by Albert Einstein is life and business is like riding a bicycle. You keep your balance uh, by always moving forward, by
Totally.
always moving.
So it seems to see, the general consensus when, growing a business and as an entrepreneur and, and especially with that Einstein quote, it seems like, pardon my French, shit is never stopped being thrown at you. You're constantly having to repair and rebuild and grow, right? It's never you just reach a point and then it's all just easy up from there. That's part of being an entrepreneur and running a business. You got to be able to understand and accept the fact that stuff is always going to be thrown at you. It's just how do you perceive it and how do you handle it?
Resilience. Yeah, I suppose you have to have that thick skin.
Totally.
You have
So
to be built for that. You have to accept that. You have to be
exactly.
passionate. You have to be excited about that.
So would you say that it's false to think that once you reach a level of success in your business, everything's just going to be smooth and perfect and wonderful? Would you say that that's not realistic at all?
I think when you reach a level in business, you realize how much further you have to go and how much you can go. Because you don't even realize what doors open to you. You don't even realize what scale you can have. You can realize what other opportunities you can pursue. Uh, so you're just basically advancing to the next league. So when
Constantly,
you're
right?
in the C league, you realize, wait, I'm getting to the B league now, and then I'm getting to the A league.
Totally. So growth never stops, right?
Yeah, it doesn't because everybody grows, so you have to catch up.
That's right. Alrighty, Dan. Well, I really appreciate this discussion. It's been a pleasure. These are very authentic answers. Many people are going to be able to relate to this. So we appreciate your time. And for all the viewers, I hope you enjoy.